Hey guys, welcome to the fourth episode of Conversations with Dimi. Here is Dimi Chewakov, your host, and Conversations with Dimi. The main purpose of it is to help you create a life filled with love, prosperity, and satisfaction. What we It's our intention here is that we want to help you create these atomic shifts which are helping you to live this kind of life.
Mm.
And I always invite here people who are, in my opinion, expert in certain field and certain model they're doing in their life or in their career, and they really can help you create these shifts in the certain topic. Today, the topic is really exciting about me. I was really looking forward to that for the last week, and the topic is connected to trauma. I know a lot of people are interested in this topic, and personally, I've been dealing with trauma all my life, and until I got the last maybe 2 years when I changed the way I looked at trauma and the way I was working with it. Before that, it was really hard for me to deal with that. And we're going to go in depth today to see what is trauma, how we're seeing it, some misconceptions with it, and the new way how we can actually look at it so we get free of it and we can dance
Mm.
with it, the most important. So I have a great guy here who is gonna share more about it. I want to just give the word to Bradley. Hey, Bradley, welcome, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dimi. Yes,
Yeah, tell me several words about you, like two, three sentences. Who you are, what are you doing?
absolutely. Yes, I
Yeah.
am a creator. I am a coach. I work with many different individuals, from executives to um, military members who suffer with PTSD, TBI,
Mm.
traumatic brain injury, first responders, and many artists. Um,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I love to do. I've been doing it for a number of years now, and I've had quite a road to get here. Still am a professional musician. I've done it for 30 years,
Uh,
toured the world, and yeah, and now helping people having conversation is such a powerful way to express love in this world. So I'm just so grateful for what it is I do.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm grateful that you're here,
thank you.
and welcome, man. So, why trauma, man? I mean, what actually brought you to this topic? Because I know that you're
Mm.
working extensively right now with this topic with your work. So why that?
Yeah, well, it's
What's your story
interesting.
around it?
Well, yeah, thank you for asking that question, Dimi. So it all started for me when I got involved with an organization in the United States called Mission 22, and this organization was started to help prevent veteran suicide. So it's named. It's the name is apropos in that it's Mission 22, and 22 veterans take their lives every day. And so this was started by a Green Beret who wanted to. He was searching for a better way, and so all of the members that are in this program, the program is called Recovery and Resiliency (R&R), and within that program, the veterans who are um, admitted to it um, are suffering from either PTS or TBI, as I say, traumatic brain injury, and are suffering from either what they call acute trauma, which is like a single incident,
Mm,
or what they call chronic, which is like several incidents, and that can go deep for so many
mm,
types of trauma.
mm,
And then, of course, there's complex trauma, which is based on multiple events, not necessarily the same kind of thing. And
mm,
the goal of the organization and introducing coaches is to really find an alternative way to address the trauma that these men and women have been identifying with for so many years, to help them move past it so that they can return to some sense of normalcy in their lives, with their families, and within themselves, and in the community. And so that's where it all started. And I've been with them for a little over 2 years now. And
mm.
I just, like, I can't say enough how beautiful an opportunity it is, and the results that we are seeing are off the charts. Yeah.
Wow. I would like to really hear more about this. So let's start
Yeah.
with the foundation. What is actually trauma?
Well, trauma, as I say, it's to not really get into the science of it. There is a really, really beautiful book, and I have it with me. It's called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. So for anyone
Mm,
that's watching, this is an amazing resource to really understanding what trauma is. And of course, there are many ways he offers many ways to deal with it in that book. So trauma is, so as I said, without getting into the science of what trauma actually is, to me, trauma is identifying oneself with something that is not connected to what someone truly is, or to their greatness, if you
mm,
will. And what I have found, and I will be very upfront here, I will never diminish the impact of traumatic events in people's lives. So I want to be very
mm,
clear with that, because it's really, really important to meet people where they are and to honor what it is that they are going through and what they identify as real. And so it really does change you on a neurological level, and it really does change you on a physiological level, um, when you are identifying with an event, and especially if you don't understand what the trauma is and have buried it so that you try to move on past it. Is that clear?
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely. So, what I understood from what you said is exactly that trauma is something. So we identify with something which is not our true nature, and
Mm,
this something was created by traumatic event in our life, for
mm-hmm,
example, or sequence of events. Like you said, there are several types of trauma, and they can come from different places and become CPTSD. Also is one of them, like you said, and this is something I was dealing with in my life as well. And I just wanted to give to people just to the overview of what is that. So PTSD is like, normally, I say, you said that there might be several events, but normally they say it's one event which happened several years ago.
mm-hmm,
Some really traumatic event, like your veterans, like people who are in war or at war or something. They had some
mm-hmm,
traumatic event, and then this event is repeating in their mind. They are dreaming about it. It's very hard for them to get
mm-hmm.
out of it, and they identify with this event, so they cannot live their life in a normal way. And for some people, I just wanted to say that, who that say, but I have a lot of feelings, like these deep feelings, but I don't have this event. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
tell you that there is also this complex PTSD, which is multiple small events in your childhood, and not only in your childhood, in your life, which are building on each other, that create an emotion of helplessness and hopelessness in you. And when
Mm-hmm.
you treat something triggers you, you feel only helplessness and hopelessness, and you cannot recall an event. This also is a traumatic. This is also called
Yes.
trauma,
Mm,
and it's very important for people to understand that you are not wrong, because a lot of people, when they feel that, they say, okay, I don't have that, well, I'm wrong, I'm bad, or whatever like that. You're not. It's just a normal thing which happens to many people, and the only side there is emotion.
yep.
There is no something really clear
Mm,
as an event in your life, because they are very small and they are many. And I
mm,
think everyone who is listening, that you need to distinguish that if you feel only the emotions, sometimes it's only, again, a trauma. You are not bad, you're okay. And we are going to talk more about that extensively right now in different topics we have.
mm,
But for the sake of the first topic, I wanted to say that what I also, because I've been also working a lot with trauma with people, but also mainly with myself and with my own. I, I, one thing which happens there is the traumatic events which happen. Also, a traumatic event for a child doesn't have to be like someone is maybe abusing you in like a physical or sexual way, which is sometimes happens, unfortunately. But it might be just someone like neglected you at some point in your childhood, and just this neglect can create a big pain
yes.
in you.
That's
And
a
that's, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, and I'm so glad you went there, because that's exactly like the whole point of our conversation. Like there are, when you say trauma in our society, of course, I'm over here
Yeah.
in the West, and you're in your country. I believe it's universal. We think of these big events, child
Hmm.
abuse, war, all of these things. But like you say, and that's what I have found coaching other clients, trauma is across the board, and it can just be that neglect. Or it's interesting. So when we are children, we do what we can to remain safe, and we adopt the environment that we are exposed to. And so that oftentimes it's learning to be in that environment. We end up squashing what really is important to us so that we can fit in. And it starts at a very, very young age. It could even start with a baby not being able to latch, onto the mother. Like it can really start
Hmm.
even then. That can be
Yeah.
considered trauma. And it's trauma. And so we don't want to use the word lightly, but it really is a form of trauma. So I'm so glad you brought that up. And that goes through
Absolutely.
so many traumatic events in school. Being bullied is definitely trauma.
And I want to, of course, this is a big part of the second subtopic we're going to talk about in a bit.
Hmm.
But what I want, and we are going to go in extensively now in that. But just to finish up with that, man,
Hmm.
I want you to say that it's an overlap. It's just people understand that, as we said, all of this can be trauma. We don't understand that this is something they are not wrong. It's okay. And one thing about trauma is very often what I also realize what is that is a false identity we create for ourselves.
Hmm.
We create a false identity, and this identity is created around the event or events which we have undertaken during these years, and all of that identity we live. And I remember I was reading in one book, you are doing everything not to touch your trauma. You're doing all of these things because you don't want to go there. And I've met so many people who are seeing that. And you create the last thing which I'm going to say. And of course, you want to share something. Bradley just shared it before we go to the next subtopic. But we create a message with this trauma. When we have this trauma, we create a message, a very, very central message. Very often it's negative. Always, when it's trauma, it's very negative. And that message might be, I'm not enough. I'm ugly. I'm stupid. I'm whatever. Some
Hmm.
very fundamental message about ourselves is very connected to the trauma, and we are leading our life out of this message. And later we're going to say how we're dealing with that. But it's very important for you guys to understand that
Hmm.
trauma happens in these moments. You create a message which creates your identity as a person, and you forget who you really are, like Bradley said in the beginning, your own true nature and your greatness, the moment you buy into that message.
Hmm. Absolutely. And that
Yeah.
can go on for an entire lifetime.
And yeah, for some people that this happened.
Absolutely.
and
Yep.
and yeah, so cool, Bradley. If you
Yep.
don't have anything to add to that, let's go to the next one, because we already anyway started talking about the
I think
misconceptions
so.
about
Yeah. I
trauma.
think to move on
Yeah.
to the next one,
Yeah.
the next topic, but I think it really is the root of many people suffering, the majority of people suffering today. It
It
really
is.
is. I know it's a
It
pretty big
is.
statement to make, but it really is the root of it all.
It
Identifying
is.
with that
It's not
and
a,
saying,
even I don't
I
think
am,
it's a big, it's just a truth with a small t,
yeah,
like we like saying.
yeah, exact truth with a small t.